He created a kill list of more than 30 names, making plans to murder them at work, their homes, and public places. He made plans to attack the FBI Knoxville field office with IEDs, conducted training exercises with his co-conspirators, and made sure he had access to an arsenal of weapons. And during their investigation, they also found child pornography on his computer.
You know, guys, we've always been told that it was the Republicans who are the party of law and order, that they are the party that backs the blue, that they are the party that stands up for the rule of law. But then they voted for a 34-time convicted felon to be our next president. And what did Donald Trump do on his very first day in office? He granted pardons or clemency to nearly 1,600 people who engaged in an insurrection against the United States of America on January 6th. It was those people who beat officers to a pulp that day. And at that time, we kind of talked about how this was giving a green light to other people who wanted to carry out more political violence in the name of Donald Trump. But another downstream effect of all this is that he was releasing objectively terrible people back out onto the streets, people who might go out there and actually commit more crimes. And that's kind of the story that I have for you today. There's a guy named Edward Kelley who was involved in the events of January 6th. And while he was being investigated for those crimes, he was also committing other crimes. And before I get to what exactly those were, I just want to remind everybody that he was involved in January 6th and was the fourth person into the Capitol that day. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Prosecutors say Edward Kelley entered the Capitol through a broken window. Then he kicked a door open, letting more people inside. The federal complaint says in the hallway outside of the Senate chambers, he asked Officer Eugene Goodman where lawmakers were counting votes. Now,
so this is a guy who, like I said, was involved in January 6th. He was the fourth person into the Capitol that day after they broke out windows, after they broke down doors. He let other insurrectionists into the building, and he was convicted for those crimes. I think he was convicted of assault. He was part of a group that was assaulting an officer. And then I think he was also convicted of obstruction as well. So this guy was definitely guilty of the crimes that he had committed. And while he was awaiting sentencing for that conviction, Donald Trump came into office and issued these blanket pardons. So he basically got a get-out-of-jail-free card, all because Donald Trump got reelected. Now, this is where things kind of get crazy, because he committed the crimes on January 6th. He ended up being investigated by a whole group of FBI agents and other law enforcement. And after that happened, he decided he was going to assemble a list of all of the people who worked on that investigation against him, and that he was going to put a plan together to kill those federal agents. That is the kind of guy this dude is. And so he ends up getting convicted of these new crimes, but listen to how the prosecutors kind of put his mindset and how he thinks about these particular crimes.
Edward Kelley felt he was acting as a patriot in preparing for civil war, so he targeted the law enforcement officers who were investigating him for his actions on January 6th. He created a kill list of more than 30 names, making plans to murder them at work, their homes, and public places. He made plans to attack the FBI Knoxville field office with IEDs, conducted training exercises with his co-conspirators, and made sure he had access to an arsenal of weapons. And during their investigation, they also found child pornography on his computer. Throughout all of this, prosecutors have maintained that Kelley has shown no remorse, as we said, and they...
Yeah, so really, really good guy, right? This is a guy who's involved in January 6th. He was investigated for the crimes on January 6th. And then he targeted the individuals and agents in law enforcement who was investigating him for a kill list. And while in the midst of this new investigation for these new crimes, as you saw there, they also found child porn on his computer. I mean, some of these people are just terrible, terrible human beings. These are the people that make up part of the MAGA movement. And because Donald Trump was so driven to let everybody off the hook who would engage in violence in his name, it is these types of people who are now being let back onto the streets. Now, luckily for us, as far as Edward Kelley goes, he was pardoned for the crimes on January 6th. And then he tried to argue that the kill list should also be covered or have those crimes covered by the pardon as well. But a judge shut that down. And so he has been convicted of these crimes. He has been sentenced for these new crimes. And it looks like he will be serving the rest of his life behind bars. And as you may have noted here at the end of this clip, he is not remorseful at all. Like I said, these are terrible, terrible human beings. Here Kelley is saying that he was unjustly targeted. And you can see that he has no remorse.
You know what? I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. Don't fear those who can destroy the body. Fear those who can destroy the soul. They throw me in prison for life. I'll make the best of it and glorify him the best I can.
Inside the walls of the Blount County Jail, Edward Kelley is leaning on scripture as he faces down a potential life sentence.
I was unjustly arrested. I was unjustly prosecuted and unjustly convicted. All of that needs to be overturned.
It's straight out of Trump's playbook, right? I've done nothing wrong whatsoever. Anything that I have been accused of, it's just unjust targeting. It's just political persecutions or whatever the excuse may be. This is what Donald Trump has taught his followers. Nothing that I've done is wrong. I can't do anything wrong. In fact, I can't even commit any crimes because I'm looking out for the MAGA movement. And I really hate how a lot of these people, they pervert the idea of Christianity. And I think it really kind of gives them an out as far as their psychology goes, because if they think that they're carrying out these actions in the name of a divine God or spirit, then that gives you a pass to pretty much do anything you want. And so you can engage in an insurrection against the United States of America, your very own country. You can target the individuals who investigated you for those crimes for a kill list. You can plan the way that you can use drones and IEDs to attack federal buildings. And you can show no remorse at the end of the day because in your mind, you've been unjustly targeted. I was doing it in the name of God. I was standing up for my people. I was standing up for my country. I was standing up for Jesus. It is all so sick and disgusting. Now he's asking Donald Trump to pardon him for these new crimes.
The biggest plea I'm making is basically to either clarify that the pardon covers these charges, make a new pardon, or have the Department of Justice bring the wrongdoers to justice in my case, and or investigate the U.S. attorneys and just have people above the Eastern District of Tennessee look into this.
Yeah, so instead of holding me accountable for my crimes, I want Donald Trump to grant me clemency. I want him to grant me a pardon. I want you to go after all the other people who are involved in prosecuting me. That is what he is saying here. These people have no shame. These people believe that they are working in the name of God. They believe that Donald Trump is going to save their ass. And I think that's why we are seeing no remorse whatsoever, even though this guy assembled a list of nearly 40 names of people to kill. I mean, we are truly living in the upside down. These people, it just makes no sense to me at all. You engage in violence on January 6th. You beat the hell out of police officers. You stage a coup against your own government. And then you turn around and want to kill the people who are investigating you for those crimes. And you think that you've done nothing wrong. It is quite a sight to behold. And so he is asked by one of the reporters, following up on this story, well, what do you say to family members who you may have had a falling out with? Or, has anybody kind of talked to you, people you're close with? Like, what do you say to them about all of this? And this is kind of chilling.
Has there ever been a moment like that where you've sort of had some folks in your family you were close to turn away, make you reconsider anything that has happened or that you've done?
I'm trying to fight for them. I'm trying to fight for their freedom and their future. If they don't like it, that's on them. I mean, the fact of the matter is people want to eat their steak. They don't want to see how the cow is slaughtered.
Kelley has never wavered in his belief that he is a patriot and deserves his freedom. And
this is a common refrain that we hear out of the MAGA movement time and time and time again. I'm just a patriot standing up for my country, guys. We need to go after Obama and Clinton and Clapper and Comey. We need to bring those people to justice. They need to be part of a tribunal. They need to be hung in public because we're patriots standing up for this country. Don't hold me accountable for any of my crimes. Don't hold me accountable for the violence I carried out on behalf of Donald Trump, because I'm just a patriot and I'm a God-fearing man. So I should be able to do whatever the hell that it is that I want to do. And Donald Trump should come in behind me and clean up my mess. It is quite grotesque. These people show no remorse. They're unapologetic. These people are truly a threat to our society here in America. That is why it was important that Donald Trump didn't issue these close to 1,600 pardons or clemency or whatever the status was on those. That's why it was important that these people be held accountable for their actions. Because if you let them out of jail, what kind of message does that actually send? You're just telling these people that they didn't really do anything wrong. In fact, I was targeted because I was part of the MAGA movement. And that's just not fair. That's why it's so incredibly dangerous to have somebody like Trump in office who lives in this conspiratorial world where none of the facts that he espouses match up to the actual reality on the ground. That's how we have a president now saying that we need to go investigate the 2020 election all over again. We need to go investigate the 2016 election all over again. We need to reinvestigate the intelligence committee and their reports surrounding the Russia hoax, supposedly. It is all just backwards. It is all detached from the facts here on Earth. So, again, guys, we will be keeping an eye on these stories. It is a damn shame that we have a president of the United States who have kind of just given these guys a get out of jail free card. But luckily for us on this particular case, Edward Kelley decided that he would be a good idea to commit more crimes when he was being investigated, and therefore he has now been convicted, he has now been sentenced, and he now hopefully will spend the rest of his life behind bars. So I'll leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe, maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that pushes back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just launders all of this terrible behavior for the MAGA movement day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, remember to smash that subscribe button. It costs nothing for you right here on YouTube. If you want to go a step above and beyond that, you can subscribe for as little as $3 a month right here on YouTube. Or if you want to support me on Patreon, it is politiscape.substack.com. Like I said, guys, we have to fight back against this MAGA media machine, and it has got to be a team effort. See you guys on the next one.